a video in a couple weeks. That's been due to me focusing on my master's and all that, focusing on all that school. But I'm back, and we're going to talk about the polls right now, see how they're heading about midway through March. We're going to start with the Liberals. The leadership change definitely proved to be beneficial with the election of Carney. As you can see, the Liberals just have had a explosion in growth. How I'm more leaning towards this leader up here with the tie as being probably the most accurate. I still don't think the Liberals are winning right now. Nanos also has it pretty close, I'd say. I like I said, I don't think the Liberals are winning, but they definitely are coming back a lot, and a conservative minority is still really good. And a lot of people backing Carney's previous experience as a banker is definitely helping, and Carney's economic experience and a fresh perspective are definitely helping. You could see little bit of a decline coming soon for the Liberals, with the Conservatives focusing on attacking Carney as being Trudeau's economic advisor. And as we know, under Trudeau, there was huge economic collapse. U.S. relations is probably also up in the Liberal Party, with President Donald Trump's aggressive policies towards Canada, like with the tariffs and all that. And it sparked a surge of nationalism in Canada, and this sentiment has actually helped the Liberals a lot because many people perceive the Liberals as like Canada's default party, the most commonly elected party, with huge amounts of Liberal leaders serving long terms and then a 4 or 8 year Liberal term being the commonly conceived idea. And the desire for economic sovereignty helped the Conservatives early on, but with Carney being the head and a lot of people trusting his economic experience, you're seeing a huge growth in the Liberal Party again. Whether that's proving to be true or false in the coming years, I don't know, but we will see. Moving on to the Conservatives, um, for starts, I want to mention they just haven't really been able to capitalize much on the Trump tariff threats. They didn't capitalize on it early on. They didn't bring it up a whole lot. Well, the Liberals, NDP, Green, even the Bloc brought it up a lot more than the Conservatives did early on. And because of that, a lot of people switched towards Liberal leadership, as well during the tariff threats when they were making comments. They'd also like take jabs at the carbon tax and such by Polyev. So many conservative voters who were switched from Liberal, like newly chosen conservative voters from the Liberal Party, went right back to the Liberal Party because they saw the Conservatives as just attacking the Liberals and not only focusing on the tariff threats. And like I said earlier, the rising Canadian nationalism are switching people to back the Liberal Party. A lot of Canadians also don't trust the Conservative Party, with a lot of them seeing Polyev as a de facto Trump supporter and like a Canadian version of Trump. I don't believe that to be the case, but that's what the Liberals are using to attack, and a lot of Canadians do believe that. Not my personal opinion, but Trump's aggressive stance towards Canada and a lot of people viewing Polyev as like a Trump Canadian figure, people are definitely less inclined to vote for the Conservative Party right now. Moving on to the NDP, I feel like the Dev NDP are definitely declining a lot, but they're starting to like stabilize their decline, and I feel like that's because there's still the hardline NDP voters who will vote NDP, but a lot of people are practicing strategic voting, so they're voting the Liberal Party just to prevent the Conservatives from taking control, and a lot of people are believing the Liberal Party is the bigger party, and thus the NDP voters should vote for them. So a lot of NDP voters are actually voting Liberals just to keep the Conservatives out of power, and many voters are gravitating towards the Liberal Party. Also, with the fact that they're seen as a major party, while the NDP are seen as more of a medium level sized party. It's also the leadership dynamics with the current leader, Jagmeet Singh. He's faced challenges in maintaining and expanding the party's support base. Despite his efforts, though, recent polls have definitely shown a drop from early in the election, like early in Trudeau's resignation, you were seeing 15, 16, now dropping all the way to like 12, 13, 11, and the Liberal Party resurgence, because a lot of Liberal voters went towards the NDP and the Conservatives, but with the Liberal resurgence, a lot of NDP voters are also jumping back towards the Liberals furthermore for that reason. The Greens, there isn't a whole lot to really talk about. The Greens definitely are just keeping their steadfast. They're keeping their party support that they had. They're not losing or gaining anything. Probably, if anything, they've lost like 0.3, 0.4% from those Liberal voters or maybe a few rogue NDP voters. A lot of Green voters might have left as well due to strategic voting, but they also get limited exposure, and they also have their set focused agenda. They focus on specific things each election. The other parties also focus on, but people believe not enough, so they vote Green. It is what it is. A lot of people just stick to the Greens for their focus party agenda. They don't really go outside their agenda too often, so the support remains relatively consistent. The
And yeah,
block, there also isn't a whole lot to say that it hasn't already been stated in my previous videos. The block have decreased around 3%, and that's probably due to the Liberal voters, as I'll show you in the map later on. Liberal voters are moving towards, or sorry, block voters, sorry, are moving towards the Liberals, and they believe that the Liberals are better equipped to defend Quebec interests than the Conservatives are, as many people have stated. Thus, it actually brings in a really good point of the Conservatives not really being fully able to do much if they get a conservative government. With the Bloc believing the Liberals would have their best interests, a conservative minority, which I believe will happen this next election, will still be pretty bad for the Conservatives as they won't be able to do much. As I don't think they'd be able to get a coalition with any other party, and it'll be really hard for them to pass anything. And I also think that this matchup will probably be the same next time around. I think we'll see Polyev, Carney. Jagmeet Singh, I don't think will stick around. The other parties also keep their leaders. Maxime Bernier and People's Party, I don't know. They're teetering on the edge of even being dropped as a major party, so I guess we'll see. But I definitely think that Carney and Pierre Poilievre will be the main players for the Liberals and the Conservatives this time around, and I think they'll be the same next time around as well. But a conservative minority is still not good for the Conservatives because I doubt they'll be able to get that coalition. As blocs believe Liberals have their best interests. NEP would rather support the Liberals than the Conservatives. Greens are also pretty left wing and are most likely to support the Liberals over the Conservatives, and the People's Party don't get a seat. Last but definitely not the least interesting this time around is the PPC. So the PPC are definitely interesting this time around as they have very low popular vote total percentage 2, 3, 1, 0. Um, However, this still makes it really interesting as if you I'll show you in the map later. There are some key districts where it's like tied, but the PPC get like 4 3% of the vote in that district, which could actually cause the conservative ridings. With this being a really tight election, PPC voters are really tied to their party, like the Greens, but the PPC are the only other right wing party. So people who vote PPC are typically people who think the Conservatives aren't right wing enough, so they vote PPC and are very, very unlikely to strategically vote for the Conservatives. And thus, a lot of ridings right now that are very, very close will likely go towards the Liberals if the PPC support tracks up, which it has a little bit. They were sitting around that 2%, 2.2, and it's looking more upper thresholds of 3. Don't think that'll happen. I think they'll probably sit around that 2.2 mark that's down here. By the way, these are my numbers down here. This is just an estimate. But I think the Conservatives will likely get a minority government here around 160 range. Liberals around that 140 range. I think that's what we're less likely to see. I believe the other numbers are relatively accurate. Maybe the block will go down a little bit, but I think these other numbers are relatively accurate for how the popular vote on stuff will turn out. But like I said, the PPC are very interesting to look at as they're costing a lot of ridings for the Conservatives right now just by even being at a 2 or 3%, which shows that a 2 or 3% PPC still hurts the Conservatives as the Conservatives are no longer the only right wing party to get votes in districts. So it's interesting to see how it'll play out as time. Hello guys, we're going to move on to the map section where I look at the map and I kind of explain certain district areas. I'm going to start with Northern Ontario. I always talk about Northern Ontario, it feels like, but there's always some interesting stuff going on here. Starting with the Timmins region. As you can see, the PPC are sitting around that 6%, the Conservatives 31, NDP 32, Liberals 29, but they're not important for this. The NDP are winning. The PPC of 6%. Now, if the PPC didn't exist, because they're a relatively new party, like 2015, 2016, coming to relevance, um, I think you'd see the PPC voters mostly vote for the Conservatives or not vote, because there's no other right wing party that's relevant. So I feel like all PPC voters either go Conservative or not vote, or maybe vote smaller minor parties, but like that's only like a few hundred. So as you can see, the 6% is actually costing the Conservatives a seat. Here's another example. Liberals are coming back in Sudbury East region. PPC are sitting on that 5%. If the Conservatives lose another 0.5, 0.2%, Liberals get the lead, and PPC have like 5% still, costing the Conservatives another seat. Same can be said in Nipissing region, region, sorry. Thunder Bay, same thing. PPC sit around 1 to 2%. I know it doesn't show up on this list. It just shows the biggest four parties. You could also say the same thing with Churchill region between the Conservatives here. PPC are sitting around that 2 3%. And then there's a few regions over here. Uh, West Vancouver, Richmond Center. South Surrey could be in play later, but as of right now, no. Here's another one. Soak region. I know there's also a few over here, but like I think you get the point. Grand Lake. Maybe a few areas over in the Quebec region, but I don't think so. There's as you can see, the Liberals have also regained control, and there's a few PPC districts here that are sitting around 2 or 3%, not costing the Conservatives a full-on seat yet, but it would be closer, sorry. But yeah, you see the Liberals have regained Newfoundland, Labrador, which the Conservatives were also recently holding. Next region I'm going to talk about is Quebec. Most notably in this like Montreal, Ottawa region, Gatineau, Montreal. The Liberals are starting to punch out of Montreal center and punch in some of these rural areas, which are strongly Bloc supporters. And this is probably due to a rise of Canadian nationalism, like I previously mentioned, and it's showing on this map. You can see that some of these border Montreal, Quebec districts are moving back towards the Liberal Party as Quebec people believe that like the Liberal Party has the best interest for the Quebec people, while also wanting to remain a part of Canada and showing that Canadian nationalism with the threat of Trump tariffs and annexation, etc. Whether he's serious or not doesn't really matter. People are still feeling more nationally proud to be Canadian, and thus a lot of Quebec districts are flipping towards the Liberal Party. Trois-Rivières was always conservative, but yeah, you can see a few areas getting more liberally or conservative depending on what they support. Also, Ottawa, uh, Katana is still like that, or Kanata, sorry, so that breach off district could go conservative, could go liberal. PPC are relevant here, like 1 to 2%. There's another example of them costing a seat, by the way. But yeah, Ottawa is another region to focus on. Before the Conservatives are kind of breaking into Ottawa, but with Carney's election, there's kind of starting to slip back, and the Liberals are regaining their foothold in Ottawa for sure. Hello, everybody. There's definitely a few NDP regions to talk about too that I'm going to mention briefly. Edmonton, couple seats here. Vancouver, they've regained one seat. Uh, West Vancouver, yeah, sorry, Vancouver Center. You can see that they have a few seats. The GTA, same thing. There's a few NDP seats here. I'm pretty sure there was a few. Anyway, uh, the whole point of this is to bring up the fact that the NDP is getting more and more and more condensed as the months go on. NDP districts are staying NDP and they're not expanding or declining. I think eventually we'll see them hit just like a flat wall. I think the NDP popular vote that's declining is more in like some of these areas up here that don't really vote NDP or like Kingston area too. Um, just a lot of these conservative, strong liberal areas, the NDP are just hitting a huge decline while they're maintaining their hard fought areas that they normally win. So I think this is very interesting, and they're like a bigger version of the Green Party. They win their seats that they normally win, and not much else. Hello, everybody. Overall, to conclude the map section, the map I think overall, sorry, it kind of shows exactly what I've been saying, but how the Liberals are gaining a few seats, most notably in Quebec area. They regained the East, some bits in the GTA, Kitchener, Kingston, stuff like that. So if they held last election, they're regaining now from the Conservatives. Bits in Northern Ontario, bits of Vancouver, that one seat they have in not Regina, Alberta. And yeah, overall the map I think just restates what I'm showing. Bloc's kind of having a bit of a decline right now too. As nationalism surges in Canada, so it's the nationalism and for Quebec independence and Quebec nationalism is taking a decline as Canadian nationalism grows. So yeah, overall, the last thing I'm going to talk about before wrapping up this video is this little chart here I got. This is the same, like relatively same numbers I had on my other chart, and this is due to where I got my numbers from. It's if you average out all the polls for the month. So right now in March, average all the polls that are currently published in March. I included some in February, as you can see, but mostly March. these numbers are. That's why this number's a bit bigger. Some of these are a bit different, but mostly the same. I'm going to talk about this for these numbers real quick. The seat count. I don't think it's accurate. I don't think the Liberals will win. I, I just don't see it being possible. I really doubt the Liberals will win. I feel like some polls are being generally a little bit Liberal biased right now due to Mark Carney being elected and a new leader hype going around right now, and the Trump tariffs. I think people are overestimating how much it'll play. Sorry. And I think the Conservatives will still win a minority government. However, it definitely will be a minority. And a minority government is still very, very bad for the Conservatives. Because left wing, extremely left wing, center left, center left. Notice how none of these parties are on the right, except for the PPC, but they won't win a seat. Never have won a seat. And it won't be a long time, I feel, before we get another right wing party to have seats. Whether it be far, center, mid right, anything. So the Conservatives are definitely in a pickle here. Because who would they make a coalition with? Nobody's going to pass their bills. Nobody's going to pass their laws in the House. It's going to be very, very hard for the Conservatives to do anything. And the country might not change. Just keep going as other parties will just veto conservative uh, like ideas, bills, laws, etc. Other parties will just veto it, won't allow it to pass, none of that, unless they deem it like something that aligns with both parties. So they might have to play with the Liberals on some. They'll be more left wing than they want to be, for sure. Things that Pierre Poilievre might personally want, he might not be able to do. Because I know Poilievre believes in things that other people might consider controversial. But those things won't be able to pass, especially with a left wing caucus like this. So even if the Conservatives win, but it's not a majority, doesn't matter. I doubt they'll be able to do much. They might even slap the Conservatives right back with a vote of no confidence and we'll have another snap election just like that. It's very much possible. And like these numbers ain't looking too good for the Conservatives, as you can see, but I doubt these numbers are totally accurate. And as time goes on, we'll definitely see the gap probably favor back towards the Conservatives again. Hello, everybody. I'm going to conclude this video on this screen here. Sorry I've been a bit inactive. It's been a couple weeks, and this is due to me mostly focused on getting my master's degree. I've been working hard on that, trying to get my master's done and over with. Then I should be making videos a little bit more often with work in between. So overall, that's going to conclude this video. I'm going to try and upload 2 videos a week, probably both on the weekends. I'm going to try. Doesn't guarantee anything, but at least 1 video a week from now on, starting with this one here on the Monday or Tuesday, depending on when it gets uploaded. I'm recording this on Sunday, Saturday mix, but hopefully on Monday I can get this video uploaded, or Tuesday. But anyway, that's going to conclude for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, comment down below what you liked, what you didn't like. I'll be sure to take your comments into consideration. I've also been considering doing a video where I react to you guys' comments or political questions or anything like that. I'd love to do something like that. So if you have anything, comment down below. I might react to a video. Might not, but there's a high chance I will if I get enough comments. So yeah, that'll be all for this video. Peace.